Hey guys, it's Nscaler454 and welcome back to the channel. In the last video we talked about the planning and I kind of showed you a bit of what the layout looks like so far and where I'm at. And in that video I showed a paper version of the layout plan, but in today's video I wanted to give you a guided tour. So we're going to start right here. Now this line right here, oh, before I do that, I want to let you know that I am using Pico Code 55 track all the way around, and the turnouts are the Unifrog for the mediums and the Electrofrog for the larges. It's going to be a little bit different wiring these to my turnout switches, but we'll get to that when I get to that. But yes, I'm using Pico all the way around. Now back to here. So this is going to be, if I can get that to focus a bit, this line right here, that runs all the way down to the back. That is a divider, which I'm going to have a backdrop. So this is obviously the scenic side, and then these two lines right down there are going to be not kind of staging, but not really. It's kind of if I need to park a train. So we're going to start right here. We're going to come up this incline, which is a Woodland Scenics 2% incline kit. Those kits are great. Makes things nice and simple. But I need to get it up to 2 inches. Now that takes four of these chunks, sections, whatever, which is 96 inches of track, and that takes me all the way into this area, which is kind of too far. So what I could do is I could switch this to a 3% incline kit, which brings me 66 inches to right about here, and then that's going to make things a little easier for me. So undecided if that's what I'm going to do, but it's kind of likely. We're then going to go over this bridge here, or the bridge is going to go over the other track, and then around the back to my grain elevator yard area, and that's obviously going to be staging for the grain cars. Ignore the fact that I have box cars in there, that's just because they're there. And that's going to come all the way back and then make its way down 2% again. There's no extensions on the side, I haven't built those yet, but that's the plan right now, is to put those in, and then it will lead back down to the lower level, and from here carries through this main line to this turnout here, which will then lead to a oil refinery. So somewhere in here, that's the idea. Obviously there's a turnout there, and the idea is to have some staging. So then we're going to carry back through this main line, making sure we're still focused, and then it's going to go through the back of that backdrop, so some sort of tunnel or whatever, and then it can lead back down to there. We talked about the staging a second train or just parking it, but I can also go to this inside track here, which will lead to some refueling or like a sanding station or whatever, and then that's also my access to the engine area, which I have a turntable and I have a roundhouse. I actually purchased the wrong roundhouse kit, but we'll talk about that when we get to that as well. And then here, I do have a second engine shop, but I'm going to be using it more as like a machine shop, which I have to modify it a bit because I need to make this run all the way through. At least that's the idea, or that's my goal. All that track is then going to kind of merge underneath the bridge, and it's going to come back around all the way back to here, and then it can then route all the way up, and I can do a reverse loop. I would like to have a second siding maybe over here, or another siding that leads to some industry, which is why I have some structure right there, just to make it a little more fun operational wise. And yeah, that's the plan that I have so far. The thing is, I'm actually second guessing it already. Is this big enough for what I want to do? So again, I kind of talked about planning and end goals. Well, before I start laying the track down permanently, I need to really be sure that this is what I want to do. And if I want to go bigger, well, the obvious solution is just to put maybe a 4x8 piece of plywood in there, and away I go. Forgive the mess, ignore it. In any case, this is a problem. That's my electrical panel, and by law you're not supposed to cover that up. Even though I've seen plenty of washer and dryers in front of these, it's still something I don't really want to cover. I want to have access to it. So what I could do is extend this 2x8 section all the way to the wall, so then I can still easily get over to the panel. I don't know what I would do with the backdrop back there. And then I could run another 2x8 section across the wall down the side. And that would then, well, it should give me plenty of room really from that point, but it does double the cost. Not just in wood, we talked about cost in the last one, but obviously more track as well. So it's something I'm really debating, and I'm gonna have to figure that out. But I figured while I'm doing that, I can work on some structures. So one of the structures I worked on so far was this bridge. So I kind of want to show you a little more detail on what I did with this bridge. Well, I wish I could have shown you the actual building of this bridge. Unfortunately, like I said in my last video, I had no intentions of ever making YouTube videos, so I can only show you where I'm at so far. And so this is the Walthers single track arch bridge, and I just want to tell you a little bit about the painting and weathering that I did on it, as this is the first structure I've ever weathered. So the first thing that I did was I used 2 coats of flat black Rustoleum paint. Got that out of Walmart. I think if you're going to do a lot of a single color, it's a good idea to buy these big cans. So I did 2 coats of that. And actually I went on really thin because I think it gave it a good look to actually have it slightly thinned out. From there, I had to paint the track itself, or the wood ties down there. And what I did was I used, let's see if you can see that, that is Model Masters Rail Tie Brown Flat, I should say. So I find I like the color. It might be a little too olive for some, but I like the look of it, so I went with it. And then I also sprayed the ties on the track itself. So that track is Pico, just some flex track that I cut the middle ties out and glued it down onto here. And again, I just painted the whole thing with my airbrush with that rail tie brown. And then what I did was I took some of this, it's Proto Paint, let's say Old Rust. Get the view of that. Boy, that's bright. There we go. Old Rust. Shows you the part number. And then what I did is I mixed that 50-50 with the rail tie brown. I think it's about 50-50. And then I used a brush, just a paintbrush, and I went down the lining of the railroad track itself to give it a bit of a rusty look. And I like the turnout of it. And then from there, once that was all done, it went on to using this, what is it? I don't even know how to say that, but this pigment right here, Old Rust, again, it's just a powder, and I just dry brushed it on. Now I try to be pretty stingy with it because I didn't want to go too crazy, and I focused mainly on the joints, obviously. So let me see if I can zoom in here for you guys, so you can kind of see a little how that detail looks. So around the rivets, you can see how I have the rust layered more along the bottom edge than the top edge, as I figure that's where water and moisture is going to accumulate. So that gives you an idea what the rust color looks like. I mean, the lighting in here is a bit bright, but it gives you an idea how it all blends together. Considering this is the first time I ever weathered something, I think it turned out pretty good. I'm happy with the results. I really like the weathering powders for the rust effect. It has a good blend versus paint, so I'm looking forward to the other structures that I got going on and seeing how the weathering turns out with those. So if you like the video, hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe for more videos in the future. I'll see you guys next time, and thanks for watching.